Hello, my name is Preston, and I really love horror movies. And this year, my three kahunas that I was really looking forward to seeing the most were Bring Her Back, Together, and Weapons. So in this video, I would love to give you a breakdown of the movies and then my review, and also in the end, I'd love to rank them all. So the first movie that came out this year on that list was Bring Her Back. So the movie follows two kids that get adopted by this woman, and their father has just recently passed away, and the woman has a daughter that had passed away in the past. And so they're all three going through quite a significant amount of grief, and the movie kind of follows the siblings kind of figuring out what this woman's motive is, because clearly she kind of is hiding something, and the movie follows them finding out that mystery, but you know, it might be one of those mysteries that they just solve a little bit too late. But I don't know, you have to see to find out. I actually filmed a little car review after I watch it, so here are my fresh thoughts. Whoa. What's up? I just watched Bring Her Back, and that movie was insane. Okay, so technically speaking, I thought it was a good movie. I thought that the cinematography was very pretty, and I like this era of horror because I do think that directors are very thoughtful with the cinematography, and a lot of it's very symbolic of what the characters are going through. And then the sound, oh, there were certain scenes where the sound was so good that like I tensed up and it got me. And I will say, so like objectively, technically the movie was good, right? But like, I mean, personally me, I do think that the end of the movie, the resolution, it just was like, it just so much happened and then there was no payoff. That's kind of more of a personal like negative than a technical, but personally I just didn't like the storyline. If there's no payoff in the end, like what was the point? It was a very disturbing movie. The gore was intense. It did have me kind of looking away at one or 2 points in the movie. It was really bad. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Honestly, no. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I think that it's a good movie, and I don't think it deserves like a bad rating. Anyways, Bring Her Back was very interesting, and honestly, I think I need to sit on it, but it was all right. For now, I'm gonna give it a 6. So, yeah, honestly, I really didn't like the movie. It's kind of hard to get into why exactly I didn't like the movie without spoiling it. So for now, what I'll do is give you kind of some general things that won't really spoil it, and then I will give you a warning once I do talk about what specifically made me enjoy the movie less. I already listed, you know, technically it's a good movie, but I really loved the sibling dynamic, and I love when horror movies do that. I feel like not enough horror movies utilize a sibling dynamic. And as a sibling, that stuff always gets to me. So I really loved the first 2 acts. You know, like they were really building up to something for me, and I was invested. After I finished the movie, the first thing that I thought was, what was the point of any of this? And if I finish a movie and that's my thought, you know, it's just not a good movie for me. So those are about all the general thoughts I can give you. Now I'm going to explicitly say what happens in the end. So if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, then do that. But okay, here's your warning. So in the end, they find out that the mom has basically planned to kill the sister. Her name is Piper. She's going to kill her in the same way that her daughter died, so that through the means of some cult ritual type thing, she's going to bring her daughter's soul back and her spirit back through Piper's body. So her daughter died drowning in a pool, and so she has to drown Piper in the same pool. And at this point in the movie, she killed the brother. The brother's also the protagonist in the movie, so like I was shocked when he died. I was glad that they upped the stakes, you know, like they took it there, you know. And then she's drowning Piper in the pool, and she basically, every part of her plan has worked out. She's killed people, she has kidnapped kids, and she's done some fucked up stuff. And last minute, Piper gets a breath of air and she says mom for the first time in the whole entire movie. And it gets to the mom, the foster mom, whatever, and she has a change of heart and she lets Piper go. And it just didn't work for me. I've heard people say like that's the point, is like she realized that, you know, she couldn't bring her daughter back, or that she was, I don't know. Honestly, I've heard people's explanation about it, but for me, it just felt like, what was the point of any of this? Like, what was the point of killing the brother? What was the point of kidnapping that little boy? What was the point of this whole entire movie if right in the end, she just lets her go? It didn't feel in character for her. And then also, to me, she literally says in the movie, I would do anything to hear her call me mom again. And like, she's just unhinged. So it just felt like a disappointment in the end. I did like the very last scene though, where Piper's in the car and she escapes and she hears a plane, which kind of connects back to something that the brother told her in the beginning about death. He said that when you die, you catch a plane to heaven. So like she hears a plane and it's kind of like her brother catching a plane to heaven. So that was nice, but it just like, it pissed me off that all of that happened for nothing. So that's pretty much my thoughts on Bring Her Back. And yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because I know a lot of people loved that movie and I wanted to love it too, but I think it's safe to say that one's probably gonna be my least favorite of the bunch. Alright, and then the next movie on my list is Together. So I saw Together last week with some friends. I'll insert a little clip here.
Cheers. Before Together?
Before Together, and then we'll talk about it
After.
I should bring my microphone. I have a little microphone mic on it, and we can do a postcard review.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I listen to that sometimes when a movie's like resonating in my brain.
That's what I was telling Lauren. I was like, I'm so excited that I get to see this with you.
I'm really anticipating this horror movie.
I
I'd say
know.
this one's probably like one of my most anticipated ones. Hi April. The movie follows a codependent couple and a rough patch in their relationship as they move to an isolated forest home, and they go hiking one day and they fall in a cave, and well, they weren't expecting to stumble upon what they stumbled upon in that cave, basically. So Together is a movie that the more I sit on it, the more I find to like about it, and the more I hear people talk about it too, the more I do like it. So I have some pros and cons with the movie, and I'll start with the pros. Another technically good movie. I really enjoyed the cinematography, the colors. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the humor too. They were very spot on with everything. And the acting too, I think that, of course, there's nothing I can really say that hasn't already been said about the leads acting. They really did a phenomenal job as the main couple, and the horror aspects were there, but that's kind of where my first con of the movie comes in. I kind of wanted more. It was marketed as a body horror. People were talking about it like it was going to be disturbing in a body horror, and once you watched it, there were disturbing things, but honestly for me it was more like two really disturbing scenes, and I was really looking for a lot more of those. I think they could have pushed it further. Could have been some more blood. Could have been some more fusion going on. I think that it's a good movie, and I will say that I liked it better than Bring Her Back, but I think that it was just a safe movie. I think that It's not going to be a movie that I'm going to remember when I'm looking back on this era of horror. It's not going to be like a standout one. It's just kind of a okay movie. Like I said, it could have gone further with the concept and everything, but it was good. Like, I know I'm kind of talking about it like it wasn't good, but you know, I totally see this being enjoyable for a large audience, for a bunch of people. You know, I don't think you have to be super deep into horror to get into this movie. So I think that that's good. Like, when horror movies can kind of suck in more the merrier, you know? So I think that in that aspect, it's good. But then for me and like my DVD bookshelf, I'm not itching to get together on my shelf just yet. You know, if I find it one day, yeah, and it's like a reasonably priced. But it wasn't one of those movies that's gonna stick in my lexicon in my head of like the ultimate great horror movies. And then with that being said too, I want to point out two very important things that I noticed while I was watching both together and Bring Her Back. I saw the fingerprints of Hereditary on those movies, and I think that it's kind of not even just those movies. I feel like just this era of horror, this modern time period that we're in, I see a lot of what Ari Aster did in his like first two big movies with Hereditary and Midsommar. I see those in a lot of modern horror. And with Bring Her Back, so the head trauma, the musical score, the camera work too, and the overall concept, I felt like, of course, it's kind of unfair to say that Ari Aster owns like head trauma or that he came up with like cult family stuff. That's not the case, but there was a scene in Bring Her Back where they're revealing things slowly with the camera throughout the house, and they're playing this like this unsettling choir music kind of. It's got some religious undertones in it, but it reminded me so much of the very final scene in Hereditary, and I think that I wasn't gonna really mention it until I also saw some head trauma going on in that movie with the kitchen scene. If you know, you know. And then if you don't know, I'm going to tell you. So this is a spoiler too. You might want to skip for this. The little boy in the movie grabs like a kitchen knife, and he like you know what? No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. Never mind. I don't even want to speak that. Anyways, I just see the impact of that movie on both of these movies. And in Together, it was honestly the same thing. It was the score. It was the musical aspects of that movie. They sounded like an Ari Aster movie to me. And I think that like disturbing nature of horror that Ari Aster kind of cultivated, at least in his own way in Hereditary, is something that I see other people trying to replicate, if that makes sense. Now, maybe I'm the only person that thinks that, but my opinion is my opinion, and, you know, I just had to get that off my chest, okay? I'm hoping that tomorrow when I go see Weapons, I don't think that, because quite frankly, like, I want new stuff. I want some new original stuff. I don't really want to see another Hereditary. So anyways, yeah, for tonight, that's all the yapping that I can do because I haven't seen Weapons yet. So after I see Weapons, I'll be back. Hi, today I'm going to the movie theater to see Weapons, and I could not be more excited, broski. Like, I am busting at the seams with excitement. I even talked to my therapist about seeing this movie today, so that's how excited I am. Basically, all I know about the movie is that it follows a class of kids that go missing, except for one of them, and it follows like the teacher as she's like figuring out the mystery. That's all. I stayed away from the trailer, so that's what I think I know about it. I just have a feeling that there's gonna be more to it, and yeah, I'm gonna give you my fresh thoughts right after I watch it. I'm gonna go see that, and I'll see y'all in a second. I just finished Weapons. What the man, I mean, I haven't seen a movie like this in a long time. This movie was fresh, it was funky, and it had spunk. I think that they did a lot of new takes on some stuff that we've already seen in horror, and I really appreciate them for that, and I'll get all into those details, but I just want to start off the bat by saying I adored it, and I can't wait to watch it again, honestly. I just really had a good time in the theater, and I had no idea where it was gonna go. All that I knew about the movie was explicitly said within the first, 5 minutes of it. So everything after that, I was like, whoa, there's no telling where we're going. For that reason, I definitely recommend that you just go in blind and just watch it. I would totally recommend it. And then you've been warned, from here on out, I'ma spoil it, okay? Literally from the very beginning, the camera angles and the way that the story is told, it's told through what I'm assuming is one of his classmates or just maybe some random girl at the school, but she kind of tells the whole meat of the story, or at least you think it's the whole meat of the story. She literally starts right off the bat telling you about what happened to the kids, and basically everything in between that and the end is literally everyone dealing with it in their own way. I loved that the movie takes place from different people's perspective, and it really helped me to notice things that when you're watching it through this girl's eyes, you observe certain stuff, and then you get to watch it through someone else's eyes, and then it's all revealed magically, and by the end, you're like, oh. By the final perspective, it just felt like the last piece of the puzzle getting put in place. They had some dream sequences in this movie, and I loved that they let you know that it was a dream. So most of the time in horror, when something scary is happening to someone, and you're really into it, they just wake up and it's oh, it was just a nightmare or whatever. But in this movie, those kind of scenes happened, and when they started, I was like, oh, this is probably a nightmare. But they instantly show you that they cut to a scene of them sleeping. So I loved that. They were we're not gonna try to pull the rug from under you, because that's been done a lot of times. And so they kind of were they started off the bat by being this is a dream, and so it kind of made me feel a little bit more unsettled knowing that it was a dream, and knowing what I was getting myself into, because I'm okay, well, now what the fuck am I gonna see? And then I also want to talk about the disturbing factor of this movie. I don't think that this movie was really trying to be disturbing, and it made me disturbed. There were some parts where I was really but the way that they do it is not a way where they're kind of exploiting it and they're letting the camera linger, or they're really trying to get under your skin. They're honestly just objectively kind of showing some of these things happening, and that was really effective for me. I don't think that the movie was in your face with the gore, but it really worked. Because there was gore there, don't get me wrong, it was a bloody movie, but them not shoving it in your face made it more effective for me. There were some scenes where I was literally like this. I was and oh my god, I loved the end. Oh my god, I loved the characters. I'm gonna go ahead and get into spoilers now. So, my favorite perspective was the junkie's perspective. I'm pretty sure his name was James, but I didn't look that up, so if I'm wrong, sorry. And so they start with the teacher whose class it was, and I loved hers too. Ooh, mwah. Her whole storyline, she's kind of alcoholic, and anyways, it was pretty good. I enjoyed that very much so. My favorite fucking character was Gladys. I love Gladys. I love Gladys as a horror villain, and oh, she was kooky, she was spooky, and she was weird. She was so weird, and I loved the whole I don't know if she was a witch. I can't say that it's cult. I mean, they never explicitly say exactly what's going on with her, but you can tell she's definitely interesting. But I mean, what they end up revealing about her and her witchcraft or whatever it is, it was not something that I could have saw coming. So basically, Gladys is a witch, and she's putting people under these hypnotic states where they are just literally weapons. Their whole body is just a weapon and a killing machine, and they have no perception of anything, and once they're in the house that Gladys is residing in, and there's all of these like weapons around, you know, it's very unsettling because, you know, you're like, man, it could come from this way, it could come from that way, it could come from up there or down there, because they're all in this trance, and all it takes is Gladys to do what Gladys needs to do for them to snap, and then just, you know, do their best to kill whoever Gladys wants them to kill, basically. But I loved her as a horror villain, honestly. I really enjoyed her style. Like, I like that she wasn't like just some drab old lady that they were like, oh yeah, I get scared by this old lady. Like, nah, she was making fashion statements. Did you see those earrings and those braids that she had? She was cool. She's cool. I really liked Gladys. And another thing that I really liked, what's another thing I really liked? That's a good question. Well, I guess that's all I really liked. Another thing I loved about the movie is that it was funny without trying to be funny. Like, it was not a horror comedy at all. Honestly, the whole entire tone of the movie is very serious, but towards the end, there is some parts that happened that just had me cracking up, and they didn't show it in a way where you're supposed to crack up, but it was definitely funny, and I enjoyed that. I really think that we've been getting a lot of horror comedies lately, and they're cool, but I like that this is true to the horror roots. It's not really trying to be funny, but it's also not trying to like shock you or disturb you too much, like, but that's exactly what makes it effective to me. So it's not trying to do that. That's not the focus of this movie. So with all that being said, that's pretty much my fresh thoughts on Weapons. And man, I really encourage you to go see this movie. It was very needed for me. It was just fresh enough for me to get some more faith in the horror genre as a whole. I will go ahead and rank them now. So in last place, drum roll please, I'm gonna put Bring Her Back. And I do want to say one final thing about that movie. The performances were phenomenal. The actress that played the foster mom and the two siblings, like, they did a perfect job. So I really don't want them to get any flack for that. It's more so a problem that I had with the script, I guess. So just for that, I mean, I have to put Bring Her Back last. And Bring Her Back is kind of a movie where I think that they were trying hard to disturb me. And it did disturb me, but like, in the grand scheme of things now, like, I'm not as disturbed about that, you know? That's not keeping me up at night. The way that the subtleties in other horror movies that disturb me keep me up at night. So yeah, Bring Her Back is in last place, and then after that, I'm gonna put Together. Like I said, another good movie, and it's just, it didn't have that little je ne sais quoi to it that I was expecting it to, which is my fault for having expectations, honestly. So then in first place, the big kahuna, drum roll please, Weapons. I mean, it was just that good. I really think that it's what the horror genre needs right now. It's just fresh enough. There are certain elements in that movie that we've seen before, but they put a new spin on it, and I just really appreciated that. And I will always appreciate unique horror, and yeah, I feel like I've never seen a movie like that, honestly. So with that being said, that's pretty much the end of the video. I hope that y'all have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.